Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Take 5. And I just love you. I love the fact that you make time to study the Bible. If you do this every day, the rest of your life, you're going to be blessed so much. But we're in Exodus 12, verse 39. With the dough they had brought from Egypt, they baked cakes of unleavened bread. The dough was without yeast because they had been driven out of Egypt and did not have time to prepare food for themselves. Now the length of time the Israelite people lived in Egypt was 430 years. At the end of the 430 years, to the very day, all the Lord's divisions left Egypt. Because the Lord kept vigil that night to bring them out of Egypt, on this night all the Israelites are to keep vigil to honor the Lord for the generations to come. And what that means, keep vigil, it means just be sure you do it. Okay? Just make sure it's important to you that you do this every single year. Verse 43, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, these are the regulations for the Passover. No foreigner is to eat of it. Any slave you may have bought may eat of it after you have circumcised him. All right, now, I'm not going to get all into circumcision. You can Google that and figure out what it means. Okay. Verse 45, but a temporary resident and a hired worker may not eat of it. It must be eaten inside one house. Take none of the meat outside the house. Do not break any of the bones. The whole community of Israel must celebrate it. An alien living among you who wants to celebrate the Lord's Passover must have all the males in his household circumcised. Then he may take part like one born in the land. No uncircumcised male may eat of it. The same law applies to the native born and to the alien living among you. All the Israelites did just what the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. And on that very day, the Lord brought the Israelites out of Egypt by their divisions. Chapter 13, verse 1. The Lord said to Moses, consecrate to me every firstborn male. The first offspring of every womb among the Israelites belongs to me, whether man or animal. And what that means is that consecrated is not the same thing as sacrifice. If they were to sacrifice one, it would actually be slaughtered, okay? And that's what God did as judgment, okay? But consecrated means they're dedicated to God in a special way for special service, okay? And a lot of churches do baby dedications, and I think that's great to do that. Now every body who is a Christian is consecrated to God. But back then, they did have certain people, and so you would consecrate them and you would send them to the temple and they would be trained that way, every firstborn male. They didn't do it with the girls, okay? The men were the ones who led the kingdom. They led the kingdom of Israel back then, and it should be that way today. The men should be leading in the church. Now, I do believe there's lots of roles for women. And I think, frankly, the church you attend, I'm not trying to get on them, doesn't use the women near as much as they should. But nevertheless, the church should be run by men. The pastor should be a man. The elder should be a man. And it was that way in the Old Testament too. All right, verse 3. Then Moses said to the people, commemorate this day. Notice how he keeps saying you need to remember this over and over and over. And it's the same way same reason churches celebrate the Lord's Supper. It's very important to remember the most important event in human history. And the most important event in human history at this point in time was this right here, the Israelites leaving Egypt. Verse 3, Moses said to the people, commemorate this day, the day you came out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery, because the Lord brought you out of it with a mighty hand. Eat nothing containing yeast. He's still on that. That yeast is bad stuff for him. Verse 4, today in the month of Abib, you are leaving, when the Lord brings you into the land of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Hivites, and Jebusites, the land he swore to your forefathers to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey. You are to observe this ceremony in this month. All right, and I'm just going to stop there, but he's going to say, look, when you finally get to the promised land, you continue to remember this. Don't forget it just because things are going good for you. Okay, and that's typical of us. We tend to forget God and forget everything he's done when things are going well. All right. Anyway, that is verse 5. We're going to pick up at Exodus chapter 13, verse 5 tomorrow on the next edition of Take 5.